Welcome everyone to the Trisbrina Show. I'm Sabrina.
And I am Tristan.
And the topic of tonight's show is embracing the unpredictable, the sacred gift of chaos.
Well, in a world that often craves order and predictability, we're talking about how we want to shy away from this word chaos. We get it, but we've got a really grand reframe for you today. We think you're going to love it. We're going to look through the lens of the yin and the yang. We're going to be talking about this need to meticulously plan every second of our life, seeking control, and all of the concern and uncertainty that comes from trying too hard to control everything. It really knocks us off our flow. And we're going to dive into how do we embrace chaos and how do we really see it through a different lens so that we can use it to absolutely transform our lives at the deepest personal and spiritual level.
Yeah, when your world turns upside down and it's like, I'm so out of control, I don't know what to do. That can really be a catalyst for a decision, and that's a decision to change. And I think that oftentimes the biggest fear that us humans have is the fear of change. But in these chaotic moments, in these moments of chaos, it seems like the fear of chaos as our blessing is greater than our fear, and it does allow us to make changes that shape our lives and shape our identity.
Here's a very nice way to jump into the conversation about chaos. Have you ever cleaned your closet and you started going inside and you started pulling everything out? Your shoes and your clothing and I don't know what you got in your closet. Boxes.
Belts, purses, scarves.
All the things. And you start pulling them out and your room looks like friggin' chaos. Like, it's insane, right? Or cleaning out your car or your garage. Or I remember when we were moving and we started pulling things out of the closets, particularly your mom's house.
I say our garage.
It was insane. We were like, how did all this stuff get packed in to this seeming place of order? Mm-hmm. And now we're in this experience of disorder, right?
That sort of reminds me of last week's episode, or some weeks, where we were talking about energy, and we were talking about the brain and neural networks and how we have the ability to change our thought, right, and upgrade the neural network so you can teach an old dog new tricks. And we said, well, you also have this energy matrix that we're not aware of, that oftentimes there's blocks that have been there since we were a child, since we were young, and we don't see them anymore. Well, when you start unpacking your closet that you haven't even dug to the bottom of the piles in a long time, or unpacking your drawers or looking in the garage, you're like, oh, I forgot I even had this. I don't even remember having this. But it's in your environment, it's in your space. And it just reminded me of how there's things in our energy that from that Groundhog Day of just living the same life, sort of comfortably numb on repeat, even if you're super present, there is this element of Groundhog Day that sometimes chaos can sort of wake you up from that and force us to be more present and notice what is there.
Absolutely. So we used a yin and a yang to talk about this tonight. Interesting that we might do that. So
It's a first.
It's the first time we've ever used the yin and the yang to teach. So think of...
That's a joke if you're new to it.
Big joke. Think of order and disorder. Okay? And the flow line is a balance of the two. Sorry?
There's music on.
Is that okay? You don't like it?
Okay.
I can turn it all the way off. There we go. If you think of the flow line down the middle, right, as being in balance, being in flow, being in harmony of the seeming opposites, then your life usually tends to work pretty well. But a little bit of contrast isn't a bad thing, because it's how we grow. And so what we're saying with chaos, it's really when you're in too much what they would call disorder, right? So think of it as order, or disorder and order. Right? But if you go too far into order, what happens? You become a control freak.
Controlling, you get stuck in the little details. It feels kind of a little bit obsessive, and your desire for order often pulls you away from love and out of your heart because of that fastidiousness that things all have to be in just the right order. And what is right order anyway? Just an idea that we have.
So we've got the flow line. We have order and disorder. We have too much order, control. What is that a reaction to? Feeling out of control, disorder, right? So then you go too far the other way, and you have chaos, massive chaos. But a little order and a little disorder creates this beautiful interplay where you're finding that pathway of growth. And you need a little bit of both to grow. So sometimes when you get knocked into disorder, into chaos, that's not a bad thing. When I was going through my back healing, I felt so all over the place with so many things that I was trying. My life started falling apart. I would say it felt like chaos to me. Now, I had probably been really far to the other side.
So full of unknowns.
Unknown, unpredictable. But I had also been really in control when I was younger. And I wanted that control. That was a big part of becoming a black belt. It wasn't just personal mastery. I wanted to be in control. I wanted to be able to conquer fear.
Yeah.
I went way too far that way. And whenever you go way too far one way, it actually flips you back. It's the pendulum swings. And I went into disorder.
Yep.
So that was a big teaching.
I see that happening with bad habits a lot of times, or even any part of our personality that might have a little addictiveness. When we say, like for me, dealing with eating disorders when I was much younger, I would have these very strict rules. I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to taste that. I'm not. Very, very rigid, very strict. This is exactly what I'm going to do. And if I made one boo-boo, if I ate one
so hard on
brownie, guess
yourself.
what? Whew, I'm eating 24 brownies.
Oh, you went to the extreme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what happens when you go so tight. It's almost like pulling back on an arrow, and it goes. That's like this. My concept of order that was needed in order to have the body that I thought I needed to have in order to dance ballet. And then the reaction to it, complete chaos and disarray and out of control. Those two things work together. Now the point in my life where it's like I eat when I want to eat, what I eat, how much I eat, and that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, think about in your own life, the times in your life where things felt out of control or chaotic, where at the time you just didn't even know what to do. Maybe it felt like a storm. Maybe it felt like you were in a storm and you were just getting drenched and you didn't know what to do. Maybe it was a tornado. But there's always that. The key is to get to the quiet point in the tornado so that you can make decisions. But then as the storm passes, don't you find, like we do, that you kind of look back and go, wow, if that storm hadn't knocked me off my feet, I would have stayed comfortable on the path that I was on. But because it knocked me into forcing me to make some different decisions, it led me to this incredible place where I am now. For me, one of my chaotic storms was teaching ballroom dancing. And I had a professional partner. And when he heard that we were engaged, he didn't take kindly to that.
He didn't take kindly.
He didn't take kindly to that.
No, he did not.
And he told the studios where we taught that if I taught there, he wouldn't. Men teach women, usually women teach men, so of course there's more females wanting to learn ballroom. So I had to find a different place to teach, which I felt horrible. I felt kicked out, cast aside, second choice. But I was creative and I found other places to teach, which led me to meeting different people, which led me to meeting people that had a charity that needed a gala. So I birthed Dancing with the Stars Austin, and we raised $10 million.
You guys might not be able to hear it with the mic, but we got some serious thunder coming in.
$10 million
Finally.
for abused children. If I had
million.
If I had stayed on that safe path without feeling discombobulated and being seemingly forced to make a different choice that felt uncomfortable and awkward, that wouldn't be the path that I was on. And not only was that really incredible and raised a lot of money, it also put me in a very high profile position as far as teaching dance in Austin. So this person, this hotshot who kicked me out of the dance studios, now I'm like way up here and he can't be in my show.
It's incredible when you start to realize in retrospect how much you've grown from the chaos, from the seeming disorder. And then there's a beautiful order. Spiritual wisdom births new order. Not the controlling type that we talked about, the two extremes, but that beautiful framework that gives you order so that you can live from a place of flow. We've been enjoying some conversations with a new friend who is really tapped into love and loves love like we love love. A beautiful teacher, this fellow, and he's been talking about order and the sacredness of order. And we were walking this morning, and you were talking about patterns and order. And then we looked at those rooftops. You want to share about that? That was pretty neat.
It's just, life is so funny. It's always there if you're present to it to show you how keen you are already aware of the intuition and how every conversation, if you can be so aligned with your inner being and with all the information. And as we were walking, I was telling Tristan, I had this really cool dream last night that I was helping someone with their branding palette colors and how we would get to them, and just talking about technology and numbers, and how I said, the earth spins, and there's 24 hours day to night, that's a number, and then 365 days around the sun, and then the way these months unfold, that there is this data, this digital energy, these patterns, this sacred geometry, and these mathematical pieces that are part of the equation of love, that are part of creation. And I said, I used to hear any talk at all that was just like numerology or even sacred geometry. I would go, yeah, you go study that. I'm going to talk about love. And I would not allow it into my conversation. And what I was saying to Tristan is, I'm now seeing that patterns and numbers and this sacred symbols it's all a part of it. And I said, I really didn't see that before, and I don't understand it to the depth, and it's not something that perks my interest. I said, but I am seeing that there are interesting patterns in the universe. And as we're walking,
we were talking about something else, and then off the cuff, she looked at a roof and said,
look at those. Look at the patterns on that roof. How interesting. And I didn't even relate it to what we had just said. And I said, look at the triangles inside of the other triangles and how they use that circle on top of that. And he's like, patterns? And we both started laughing because it was, for me, like life reflected back. Yes, there are patterns in everything that you can see. And everything is, for me, everything is as I label it. If I label it sacred, it's sacred because someone designed that house. How did they design that house? Why don't you tell them what you were saying about the trees?
Which part?
Do you remember?
Well, I know that it was profound.
He was saying that years ago that he started having these thoughts like, who designed the tree?
Oh, okay.
What made the tree?
Well, I was at the beach, and I was looking at a sand dollar, and I was just mesmerized by the pattern of the shapes on the sand dollar. And I was thinking, like, what created that? Like, who created this pattern? Who designed it? And then I was also thinking about, like, buildings or anything, like lampposts. I remember seeing a lamppost, and I thought, who came up with the idea to shape that lamppost like that and make that lighting that way? Somebody had to have a thought, and they had to then create it on paper, and then but it started as a thought. Just like that sand dollar, it's a thought of the divine creator. And everything comes from a thought. Everything comes from creativity itself. And so creativity uses patterns and shapes to create. Mm-hmm. And I was just so blown away. I'm going to put this on the screen so you guys can see a pattern that we love from the yin and the yang. There's a pattern. Mm-hmm. It's a universal pattern that created our system. 1 became 2. You can see the 2 in there. 2 became 4. You guys, I'll put my little arrow on here. 1 became these 2. Spirit became body and mind. Mind became 2. Body
Conscious and
became 2.
unconscious, physical and energy.
And then these 4 birthed into these 8. So from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, and so on. It's a pattern. And that's just, there's order in spirit, in the spiritual realm. There's order. And so you can think of order not as control, but as being aligned spiritually.
You know where
It's a
you can
pattern.
see it really beautiful? Well, you see it when people draw mandalas, right? Or the kaleidoscope. You see beautiful order when the sunlight hits a prism and you see the colors of the rainbow. That has an order to it. Just like when you just look at the rainbow, it does. Everything has this beautiful order, but in that experiment, where you put the sand on the sound plate and play a certain pitch,
A frequency.
the sand moves into these symmetric,
Patterns.
beautiful patterns.
Sacred patterns.
Right? The alignment creates this beautiful order. It's not overly, it's not anxiety. It's not like, oh my gosh, make sure we're symmetric, every grain of sand, right? But it also isn't chaotic. It's that line that Tristan was talking about in the middle. But the chaos oftentimes forces us out of, like I said, our Groundhog Day, our ho-humness, our not even seeing the clothes on the bottom of the drawer, into making choices that can pull us towards that center line.
Do you want to show that pattern?
Okay.
Okay, here comes some pattern for you guys. We're here, watching with you. Watch those geometric patterns change. So it's all information, it's frequency. And that frequency, the information, will change the pattern. So thoughts have a frequency, don't they? So here's the hertz.
Music is patterns.
That's right. Information.
Look at that.
All they do is they keep changing the information, and the patterns change.
Order.
Order. Chaos births new order.
Yeah, you could think chaos is changing frequency. No, the chaos was a label we put on top of it.
That's right.
It is energy in motion.
There you go. Ginny's having a great time tonight. So glad you're here. Look at these beautiful patterns. And you know this is happening in your body. Your thoughts are creating patterns inside your cells. So be in high vibration thoughts, sweet friends. Connect to love. That's what Sabrina was saying, love, earlier. But that love is the sacred geometry.
When things are in order, we feel safe. It feels good, it feels calm, and we can love. Chaos helps us find higher frequency order,
That's right.
right? Without the chaos coming, we might stay at the level of order we had, or the level of love. Chaos comes, stirs all the sand up. Look at how much more complex these patterns are than what was previous.
It's all information, guys. Like it's a cool experiment.
It's just sand and sound.
But what's ultimately the coolest thing, here we go, is what it's teaching us.
Look at that.
It's so beautiful. You are part of this creation. There's order within you. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so that wasn't an illustration of something. Oh, it could be that was sand on a metal plate, and the plate was vibrating to different hertz, and it was showing how the sand moves on its own to find different expressions of order. Now, if we stopped it in between one expression of order and the next one, if we had pressed pause, there might be a moment that looked chaotic or that we would label as chaos, but it was really just a transition. So can we take that information that we just saw from the sand and put it in our own life? And when things are like, let's say it's your family. Oh my gosh, this is going on with my mother. This is going on with my aunt. My dog is doing this. My business, this, that. Oh, my knee hurts. And just say, oh, it's a transitional phase. It's the opportunity to make decisions for a higher level of love, a higher level of order, instead from chaos to clarity. There was great clarity in those sand dollars.
Sand symbols.
Sand mandala.
There you go.
Sandala.
Sandalas.
Sandalas. Those are sandalas.
So this can really benefit our lives when we find ourselves in the middle of the unpredictable, when things are out of order, out of seeming sequence. Know that there's a gift inside that for each one of us, that something new is birthing, and that we can come back to that flow line. It's a wake-up call sometimes. It's like a, hey, pay attention. And sometimes it's a, you're going through something right now. This is a time to trust. Trust your journey, trust your path. Keep practicing, what is right for you. Mm-hmm. And know that everything will work out. Just like cleaning out the closet. It's going to be okay. Because on the other side of this, it's way more better. Okay? And so we go through some disruption to create freedom.
Yeah.
It's all okay.
And it's all okay. I just want to underline, that doesn't mean that you have to like some of the situations that are causing chaos.
Right.
Right? Because we've had a lot of chaos personally in our lives in the past few months that were situations that I label as I really didn't care for that, and I still don't, with both of our dogs transitioning. But it did cause a lot of chaos in me emotionally.
Emotional disruption. But
also in me, my emotional intelligence
has grown massively.
I didn't think it was possible what has happened to me. And even spiritual hunger in the most beautiful way. It's this you're not thirsty, but it's an unquenchable thirst for more. Even though you already have something in your glass, it has up-leveled all of that. And I'm making choices in my life now, and I am doing things in my life now, and I've developed different habits and patterns that without going through that chaos and that grief and that pain and those situations and having to reflect on things and get bigger, I had to get bigger. I had to learn to love the formless, because I'm not going to stop loving our pups, right? So we're not saying that the elements of the chaos are good. It's just that those situations, when you feel, it is. Sometimes it is what it is, especially with our dogs, 14 and 16. It's fantastic. But everything like that, when it feels like there's a squeeze, there's going to be a release, but it's up to us to use it as that and not label it as I'm a victim. This shouldn't be. This is what will keep you from growing. I'm a victim. This shouldn't be happening. This isn't fair. Why does this bad stuff always happen to me? I always create things like this. I should have just done it myself. I never should have trusted. I never should have. I've never should have. I should have. All of that stuff, just you're clinging on to the thing that's causing you the chaos. What you want to move towards is, I got to get bigger right now. I get to make some different decisions. Who do I want to be? What do I want my habits to be? Those moments can be such a catalyst for that. Is it easy? Some moments, some not.
There's some beautiful shares. Thank you, Deb. She said, so sorry for your loss. I know they are huge. It is huge. And Ginny said, you're working without a safety net. I'm in awe of your transparency and vulnerability. You know, this is how we roll. This is, for us, the shares are just who we are.
Yeah.
We're not trying to put on a perfect show here. We're just
I love sharing what's going on in our lives because I know that we're all the same. And by sharing something that's in my life, I'm sharing something that's in your life too. Like today, I shared on my personal Facebook page 2 things because I thought they were so funny. Last week, I was my dad has some dementia, but I was saying that just means he's really in the now.
Sure
And in the
is.
now is where humor exists. And last week, he's probably listening right now, I said, I was driving, he goes, hey, where are we going? I said, I'm taking you to get a CAT scan. And he said, but I don't even have a cat.
No, he said something really funny earlier.
And then today, we were driving, and he said, where are we going? I said, we're going to get pictures taken of your pancreas. And he said, is my pancreas that famous? And I know that there's people that relate to their conversations with their parents and people that they love. And so that's one of the reasons we actually are pretty much open book with what's going on with our lives, because we know we're all going through the same stuff as us humans here.
Yes, we are. Okay, I wrote a little something to wrap us up for tonight. I said, so how do we unwrap the sacred gift of chaos in our lives? First, we must let go of the fear of disorder and unpredictability. Instead of resisting the change, we can embrace it, knowing that it holds a potential for growth and for transformation, and to be open to the lessons that chaos brings, seeking the wisdom in the midst of the seeming confusion, right? And chaos is not our enemy. It can actually be a guide, and it's a sacred gift when it's embraced. And it can lead us to new levels of understanding, to new levels of purpose, to new levels of truly fulfillment on the other side, where you finally are like, yeah, but this is what this was teaching me. This is why this showed up for me. In my journey with Sabrina, the toughest stuff has caused the most beautiful growth.
Yeah.
And I love who I've become from these challenges, these chaotic times. Mm-hmm. Boy, that pandemic, right? Anybody felt some chaos there? And hopefully you're on the other side now, and that it absolutely transformed you for the better.
Yeah. Even in our relationship, we went from friends to more than friends. And early on, there was a little bit of chaos, but that chaos caused us to make choices that birthed Trisbrina.
True. And thank you, Deb, for your sweet shares tonight. It's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, everybody who's been here, dropping in all your love bombs. Lee, Debbie, thank you.
Kathy.
I saw you there, Vicky and Jennifer and Radhika. Yeah, thank you guys for being a part of our lives, being a part of this community, and giving us the reason to have these talks.
Yeah.
Because if you guys didn't show up and didn't say, where's the Trisbrina Show, right?
So the Trisbrina Show is live every Thursday night
Yep.
at 6 p.m. And we're live on YouTube and Facebook simultaneously, and then the replays on the website. And the only people that get notified in advance about it are the people that asked for the notifications. So if you're not getting the notifications like, here's what the show's about and here's the link to attend live, you can opt in to get notified. And to do that, you're going to go to satorimethod.com/Trisbrina.
That's where you go. All right. Well, on that note, it's time for our fun Trisbrina music.
Yes.
The one that I turned all the way down.
Move that lower third and we'll take our picture.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Don't go and buy that. That was a boo-boo. I don't know where it is. There. Okay. Bye, everybody.
We're going to an internet marketing party 10-year anniversary tonight.
Because that's exciting.
Woohoo!